In this video, I'm going to be explaining about how you can access array elements. As you can see here, when the declaration of this array, you have these 5 elements of the array. Okay, so this is the first element, second, third, fourth, fifth. Now to access an element, for example, you want to access this first element. Every array has a unique way of accessing it, which is using the index. Okay, you can use the index or subscript for the array. Okay, to access the first element, it's always starting from 0. For example, you can assign value, you can assign a value to that particular element. Now what I'm doing here is I'm assigning a value 4 to the first element. So the first element, so this is going to be the subscript. Okay, so it's 0, subscript 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is subscript, or we can call it index. This is element. Okay, so in this line of code has assigned number 4 to the first element, which is index 0. So it is going to assign 4 here, and here is going to have, if I want to assign for all of these to different values. So for example, I have, this is the second element, third element, fourth element, fifth element. Okay, so I want to assign to any number. Okay, so what is going to happen is going to assign number 9 to second element. It's going to assign 23 to the third element and assign 1 to the fourth element and 44 to the fifth element. If you don't want to assign directly like this, you can also use cin to assign to a particular location of that array. You can treat all the elements in the array as an individual variable, like a regular variable. For example, you can do mathematical operation to this array. For example, array number, element number 5 equals to ARR of 3 multiply with ARR of 1. This is just an example. You can also output it immediately to cout object like this, ARR 3. Okay, but you cannot access the array with just by its name. Okay, you must use a subscript or index to access the element. For all of these example, I am accessing the array element using integer literal, but you can also use an integer variable. For example, you have an integer index that is having a number 2, okay, value 2, and you can use that as the subscript of that array, or subscript or the index, to access any particular element for that array. You can also use loop to access all the array elements. For example, I want to access this. I want to output all the values that I've assigned in this array. I want to use for loop for integer index from 0, starting from 0, index less than the size of the array, index plus plus. Okay, now I want to output ARR using that index, and as you can see, when I run the code, you will have the output as 4, 9, 23, 1 and 44 based on this location. It will traverse from the first element until the end of the element. Okay, so it depends on how you create the loop. If you create the loop starting from 0 until this maximum of the loop, you will get this. But if you use the loop starting from size as long as bigger than 0, index minus minus, so what I'm doing here is I am reversing the output. Okay, starting from, okay, wait, this one should be minus 1. Okay, so we will talk more about this one, why we have this unwanted value here. Okay, and as you can see, the output of this, when I run it, is going to start from size minus 1. Size minus 1 is 5, minus 1 is 4, so it's going to access the element number 5, which is index 4, and it's going to output 44. And this is down to 1, reducing it by 1, and accessing this one, reduce another one, accessing this. So it is in reverse order. So this one should be close to 0. Yes, so this one should be close to 0, equal to 0, and you have this output. So it's going to output all the array elements starting from the last element down to the first element.